One of the best things every year at E3 is the surprises, the games you didn't know were coming, and the games that blow you away when you see them for the very first time. One of those is Horizon Zero Dawn from Guerrilla Games, and joining me on the couch now, Herman and JB. Guys, thank you so much for coming here, and thank you so much for debuting such an awesome-looking game.
Thank you. It's fantastic to be here.
Yeah, is it that kind of thing of like, you've been working on this game for a little while now, and now everyone gets to see it for the first time. You can say the word Horizon in confidence.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Just say it once, JB.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's been a long time coming. We've been working on this game for almost 5 years.
Wow.
So it's very exciting for us to finally be here and show it to the rest of the world.
And I mean, but the mind brims with so many questions, but for those of you who didn't catch the reveal at Sony's press conference, basically sort of a post-apocalypse world. It's like the apocalypse happened, everyone was recovering, sure, but now it's like the distant future, to the point where the old ones who built these skyscrapers are myth.
Exactly. So the cataclysm happened. We're about 1,000 years on. So nature has completely reclaimed the land, and you know, that's where the twist is. Human life is no longer the dominant species. It's now the machines that run the show.
Yeah, I was wondering, so you guys, they're machines, clearly, sort of the creatures, but this is an ecosystem that's developed, and there are carnivores and herbivores, if you could call them carnivores and herbivores. I mean, you guys had to kind of puzzle out a whole web of nature when designing those creatures, right?
Yeah, there's a whole ecology there, and it's all very intertwined. We're not really going to tell you basically how all the robots are interconnected and what their exact backstory is, but basically that's one of the big mysteries about playing the game and finding that out.
But in the movie, you could already call out a couple of the elements where you see the machines working together. Aloy, she's taken out the little Watcher, because clearly he will alert some of the bigger, more aggressive machines. And so you see them come together. You also see that some of these grazers, you have the regular herd-like, but also more the alpha guys that will take you on. So there's a lot of collaboration between the machines.
And then, of course, the giant sort of dinosaur, brontosaurus-esque ones looming in the background. Just all these questions come to mind. Are those discs, do they get solar power? You know, how do they do all this stuff? And I think that, you know, obviously we're not going to go too deep into it now, but just the way that sort of sparks the imagination. Was this something that for you guys was really, must have been just a tremendous act of creativity and collaboration?
Yeah, especially from a story point, basically just weaving this whole universe, basically where the robots and a sort of tribal form of mankind live next to each other. It's been really interesting playing with those two components and seeing how they interlock.
And we haven't even seen sort of the nobles. They're referenced in the trailer, but this is just one tribe. There's a whole human society in addition to, you know, the creatures we see.
And that's exactly what this game is about. All these big questions, these machines, where did they come from? Why are they here? How does Aloy, as the playable character, how does she relate to them? And she's taken us on a journey to uncover exactly these kind of mysteries.
And I think the word relate there is so key. One of the moments that a lot of people I talked to about this really latched onto was when she takes out that first creature and says, shh, you know, she's gentle, she says, sorry little one. There's a kind of respect shown for the creatures. It's not this normal adversarial man versus machine relationship.
Now, to the people of this world, basically, these machines are part of nature. They are a form of nature, and they've never actually known a world without these machines. So to them, basically, they don't really see the difference between the geese and the birds and the fish, or the machines, basically, that walk the lands.
Yes, because they're also organic creatures. You see birds fly. It's not all machine creatures. It's just another pillar of this whole world. And all right, I want to talk lore and the creation of these creatures forever, but now we're in combat here, and let's talk a little bit about this. You guys have gone from Killzone, the series, first-person shooter, you know, par excellence, and now into a third-person action game. There's shooting, sort of. What's your philosophy for what kind of experience you want to create for the player in combat?
So clearly you see Aloy being a member of a relatively primitive tribe, taking on a massive, giant robotic machine here. So she's the raw power she can never match. So she will have to be smart, she will have to be agile, and that is before, during, and after combat. She's got a bow with a lot of different types of ammo on it. She's got a rope caster to tie him down. It's all about intelligence, agility, and knowledge here in terms of combat. And obviously, we're building on the experience we've gained making Killzone. Killzone was all about tactical combat, and so is Horizon. So in that sense, we're kind of building on the legacy.
And, you know, we're seeing the protagonist here, Adeline, is that her name?
Aloy.
Aloy?
Aloy.
Alor. And she's using weapons that are sort of machine salvaged, machine built, but when you talk about the human society, you guys talk about nobles, and that sort of implies a different scale of weaponry and of organization and of society. So that's just another part of the world creation, I'd imagine.
And that's the part of it, basically. The tribes in this world have very little understanding of technology. They're not at that level yet, but they do have this very high level of technology in nature. So these machines basically have their own elements. Basically, they have ammo types that are explosives or certain weapons. And Aloy's type of combat is also about being resourceful, about gathering these resources and combining them, making new weapons out of it that they can use against the machines.
Yeah, and let's talk about something that's, you know, gathering resources, stuff that's outside of combat. Can you give a little hint about what kind of the gameplay flow is going to be between combat times and and exploration or anything like that?
I think it's a little early to go in too much depth on the RPG side of things, but in this movie, you already see you see her actually harvesting some of the elements. You see in the weaponry that there's robotic elements, machine elements already on her weapons. She uses that for her armor, for her ammo, and other things. You see the grazers; they're kind of mining the earth. You see the canisters that she's after. So clearly, these have a purpose for her. So that's a big part of this game. It is an action open world RPG.
It is an open world RPG with competitive multiplayer added in, of course.
And we're making a single player game. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And it just looks gorgeous too. I mean, you guys have been working on it for 5 years, but in 5 years, tech has changed, tech has evolved, but you guys at Guerrilla have always sort of been on top, keeping your game, sort of at the bleeding edge.
Talk to the art director.
Yeah, how do you sort of, art direction and then technical execution, you guys just marry those so well.
Yeah, well, building Killzone has always been a very good experience. Basically, we love science fiction, but this was something completely new for us as well. Building very large, very lush worlds is a completely new, different challenge. So
yeah.
all
Not
the
a lot of greenery on Helghan.
All the artists basically went from, okay, I'm really good at making metal and concrete, to now, okay, I'm gonna become really fucking good at making trees and grass and big mountains.
So do you guys just have nature documentaries running in the background all day long?
All day.
Lots of, but a world like this, I mean, this is at an apocalypse, but then 1,000 years on. Try to think that through conceptually. There is obviously no photographic reference of a world like that. So everything is being discussed by the team, and not just the art team, but predominantly also the design team. It's been a lot of sussing out for us.
I would imagine so, and just kind of conceptualizing what kind of story you want to tell in the world, because you're taking on, at least the themes that come to mind: the man versus machine, the sort of technology versus nature. You're subverting that in a big way, but so there's power to be found and identification in terms of our natural reactions. Oh God, the giant robot monster must be evil, but you're really sort of playing at maybe something that's more nuanced than that.
There are a lot of big themes here. Life after us, what happens actually when humankind no longer is that dominant species. There's also the autonomy of machines, of drones. Like, how does that work? So we're not necessarily answering all those scientific questions in great detail in this game, but they are kind of the backdrop for us coming up with these big concepts.
Yeah, I don't need to know what the exact chemistry is of these green tanks on the back of the Grazer here, but man.
There is a reason for all of that in the game.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's another challenge, right? If you're building an entire world, an entire new place you're conceptualizing, you also have to have some focus. Otherwise, you're never going to develop a game. You got to sort of pare down the things that are important to you. And so in terms of the player experience, what were some of those pillars of what's important to you guys with Horizon Zero Dawn?
Well, there's a couple of aspects. First of all, basically exploration. Basically, this is a large world. There's a lot of mysteries in it. There's a lot of stories to tell. So we want the player to go out there and find interesting places, see a point on the horizon and go there and find adventure there. That's really important for us. But of course, it's also a combat game. It is an open world action adventure, and that action part is really important to us. So as you go out there, basically there's lots of activities to do and lots of creatures to fight, and also lots of humans to fight, of course, as well.
There were a couple of big themes, obviously, that are major pillars for us. It is the nature versus the advanced technology. That is a big one. It is that David versus Goliath feeling of the primitive hunter versus these giant robotic machines. So these are a couple of these kind of tensions that we've been playing with and that are very key to this game.
Yeah, and we see that in the loadout of the the different sort of explosive arrows, the rope arrows, the different ways that you have in combat to take on a boss. And I think that what was particularly inspiring about that particular fight here is it's not just shoot the big thing until the big thing, until the damage bar goes all the way down. It's not just shoot it at the one weak point 1 or 2 times until it falls down. There's more going on. There's more challenge. There's more dynamics there. And
Aloy she's not just a brutish hunter that likes to kill things for killing's sake. She's very respectful. She's a very curious character. She's in a way a champion of life, so she does what she needs to do.
And there's that philosophy that many associate with sort of the Native American tribes having that respect for nature. And do you guys sort of draw on any particular rebels of history or of human civilization now and in the past to sort of inspire you? Any touchstones in particular?
As part of the research, we looked at every single tribe that ever existed and read their stories, and Native American tribes are part of that as well, but also Mongolian tribes or African tribes, basically just looking at how humanity sort of lives in its most primeval form.
Which is not a confirmation that all of these tribes are in Horizon.
Just to clarify. Well, yeah, I mean, it was, you even early on, sort of the trailer, you're getting a look at a very diverse kind of humanity, and I think that that's one of the powerful things in terms of imagining a new future. What kind of diversity do you have there? What kind of societies have come up, given that it's basically sort of the world has gone through a millennia of upheaval and human shifting and nature
talking
rising.
About these tribes, they have never known a world without these machines in it. So the old ones, that's us, right? So the way they deal with the machines is very different. Some hunt them down. Some might find other ways of dealing with them. They might find a way to make them friendlier. They might, a lot of different ways of dealing with them.
Sure, it's easy to
identifies, distinguishes the difference between the tribes.
Between the tribes, their
Exactly.
own philosophy as how they take on the world. I mean, it's easy to imagine animal husbandry developing, with a grazing population, for example.
And of course, every tribe has their own story of their origin, maybe how they came to be, what the machines are doing. None of all of these stories are correct, of course. Maybe there's lots of mythology and legend there as well.
Well, Horizon Zero Dawn, a world full of stories, and at this point, a lot of mysteries that I personally am so eager to explore. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to talk about the new game, Horizon
Thank you.
Zero Dawn. It's looking fantastic, folks. I hope you're as excited as I am, because I'm really excited.